Up next, we speak to educational psychologist Dr. Ken Resnick. Thank you very much for your time, Dr. Resnick.
Thanks for inviting me.
So it is a stressful time ahead for pupils and for their parents alike. How can those facing what seems now like an impossible task best prepare, given the fact that the exams start tomorrow? So a lot of the preparation should already have been done, but sometimes, you know, the realization that it's on your doorstep makes things seem a lot more overwhelming.
Yeah, look, I think they should, the kids that are going to achieve, that want to achieve, I would imagine are well organized, they know how to study. It's those last-minute crammers that I think are going to have a problem, the ones that are dependent on their parents always nagging them to go and study, which in itself is a problem because they need to be, or they should be self-motivated, almost 18 years old. I think some of them are 18 years old. So it actually is their responsibility, and to leave it at the last minute, it's potluck in many ways, you know.
So that was going to be my next question, in the sense that, you know, we think of 17 and 18-year-olds as almost adults, but many of them haven't been equipped with the kind of skills, and many of them learn in difficult circumstances where they haven't necessarily even covered all of the curriculum that they'll be writing on, nevertheless been equipped with healthy study habits. So they are, to a certain degree, perhaps reliant on cramming. Does cramming even work? Is it dangerous? Is it...
Well, it's a risk, put it that way. It is a risk because what are you cramming? You know, your mind has got to think of something, so they'll either pick and choose what they might get. Teachers might have given them a clue on what they might be getting, and they might only focus on that. So when they cram, they're cramming usually on stuff they think they're going to get. And it's sort of potluck, as I said. And if it comes up, it's great. Often teachers are able to predict somehow what you need to focus on with certain subjects. But there again, if they're not prepared, it's very late to really think they're going to achieve well. It's something that they really need to learn if they're going to carry on studying at university, where they're on their own. The university, if they don't want to study, they don't study. There's nobody pushing them. So it really is very late in the day for them to think there's going to be a miracle.
Yeah, to start now. Without calling into question the efficacy of the testing system as a whole, we do know that EQ plays some role in coping with stress. So not only intelligence or study methods, the class situation, but emotional readiness. How can parents help pupils at this stage to approach the exams with calm and with focus?
I think the job had already been done with the parenting, because the EQ really comes from early on, from good parenting, in the sense that they're helping the child to become independent, take responsibility, want to learn, rather than being told to learn. So if it's left to the parent right at the last minute, those parents have been nagging for a long time. I think this is the first exam that they've had to push their kid at the last minute. So the chance of a child having EQ, a good EQ, when they've always had to be pushed, where it's always been the parent's problem to see that the child studies, that's already a problem.
Okay. So we know that regardless of your upbringing, sometimes pressures just become too much. Pupils these days are under all kinds of different pressures. And looking back in hindsight, it's very easy to say, oh, it's just matric, no one's ever going to look at your marks again. But there are a lot of pressures on these pupils. So how do parents, rather, identify and act on warning signs that it's all too much?
Look, I think the state that the child gets themselves into, their attitude, if they've got to study, I think a child, you know, your brain can only study 40 minutes efficiently. To go and sit in your room for 3 hours, you're not going to take in that much. So the parents need to help the child get the skills to study, to know how to study, maybe send them on a study skill course. But remember, they've had like sort of a long time of schooling to have learned certain ways of attacking an exam with confidence. And if they know their subject and they're well prepared, they'll do well. The anxiety might still be there, but there are ways of just taking it easy, not cramming in too much, and they need to deal with it. Talk to somebody and help.
And how important are things like good sleep, good nutrition, not cramming perhaps on the morning of the exam, arriving on time, all those things that we've been told about?
It's very important. I mean, it is, and we've got to be very careful these days that there's a lot of stimulants that children can take to keep awake, to study longer. Good sleep, good diet, good lifestyle, also very important. Feeling good about themselves, dealing with the anxiety that they might have. All of these things are very important to help them prepare, because it is quite a big moment in their life.
And some parents do take it too far and get overly involved in trying to micromanage the process. When do you know as a parent that it's time to step back and just say, I trust you to handle it?
It should happen right way back in primary school, actually. By the time they're at high school, it's a little bit late. The parents have just been doing too much, possibly, or too little, in terms of helping the child become self-disciplined, self-motivated. Because you must remember, learning is a choice. And kids that don't want to learn, why? Why don't they want to learn? Why don't they engage with their work properly? And parents need to see that from an early age, not too much PlayStation, all of these distractions that kids might find more important than having to sit down and maybe study for an hour.
So apart from just speaking to the parents of matriculants, we're actually speaking more directly to parents of children who are a lot younger to start preparing way in advance.
Exactly. It starts from a young age where the child wants to learn, they're proud, they discipline themselves, they say to the mom, I've got to go and study, rather than mom having to say, listen, I haven't seen you study today, now you better get to your room. And the kid sits there for 2 hours, and if he's doing 20 minutes of studying, it's a lot. And he's studying for the parent rather for himself. They've got to look for that. They should always ask the child, what do you want to get? What are your goals? Not what I want you to get.
Yes.
To sort of find out where is the kid, where are they going in their lives, or in terms of themselves.
Yeah. Right, so whether you are a parent or a pupil, tomorrow is upon you. Literally, take a deep breath, get through it, think, take your time. It's not the end of the world, right?
Absolutely. Another stage in their life.
Fabulous. Thank you very much for your time, Dr. Resnick.
Thank you very much.